Okay, so first I want to introduce tonight's speaker. I know him too well, so I can't do an introduction. But again, like we say every week, Schreck to everyone who comes. In Yiddishkeit, Chazal tell us, Habola Taher, Messiah Noisai. As long as a person comes to do the right thing, he gets Yad D'Shmaya, and it could be a job, it could be something he's trying to accomplish that seems to be insurmountable, it seems to be impossible to achieve. But once you take that first step in the right direction, Kadosh Baruch Hu comes in and helps the person reach the goal. So just by coming here, it's already more than half the battle, our avoid that we have in these days now. So first I'd like to put things into perspective. So the oil knows that I was away. I was in New York, New Jersey 2 weeks ago. I left Tuesday morning. It was a 6 o'clock flight. I came back a 6:30 flight Wednesday afternoon. I went for Tzorchei Mitzvah. I was in East Brunswick, New Jersey. Tzorchei Mitzvah. And I was hoping that if I had a chance to be Menachem Oval in Riverdale, I have 3 boys there, so I'll try to make it. But it's an hour and a half to get there with traffic from East Brunswick, an hour and 15 with a little bit of traffic. If you go really fast, no traffic, 55 minutes, you can do it, but it's a 2-3 hour investment of time. I wasn't sure if I had time to do that. I went for a specific reason. I had to stay focused on the reason I was there. I get a phone call from Yeshua Zev, my 9th grader, Tuesday night. Tate, are you coming to yeshiva? I said, I don't know. It depends if I can fit it in. I'm not sure. He fine, beseder. So then Wednesday morning he calls me again, and he says, Tate, you coming to yeshiva? So once he asked twice, it's obviously been a tragic Zman in Riverdale, unfortunately. Rashi was nifter, and I don't know how he was. From my conversations with him, it seems everything is fine. How's yeshiva? Good. Okay, so my trick question is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate the yeshiva? I don't know, 10. It's hard to get anything out of him. So maybe he's harboring, things are building up inside him. So I said, fine, I'm going to come. I made the time and the effort, and I drove, took an hour and 15 minutes to get there. And I come to the yeshiva, I pull up, and he comes out, and I say, Shuzet, with his Tati, can I have money? So I said, sure. I said, he's like, he doesn't want, he feels bad borrowing from Mordechai Menachem money for laundry. I said, you're not borrowing from them. I said, there's one pocket, everything comes from laundry. There's no borrowing. But fine, here you go. And it's news. How's everything? He says to me nervous. He says, Tati, you see, there's 2 windows over there. The entire base medrash is looking at us. Can we talk later? So I flash back to Mordechai Tzvi like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the same conversation. Base medrash wasn't looking at us. He could march a marching band through there. No one's going to look up. But in his mind, I said, fine, you should have said, it was good seeing you. And I went. I was Menachem Oval. So as I was driving home, I'm thinking to myself, it was like, on some level, I was like let down a little bit. Like I would have gone anyway, Pashtus. But I was going. I thought he needed me, and I was coming to see him, and it was a letdown that just wanted some money, which Baruch Hashem. On the other hand, I was happy that there wasn't anything serious, that he was okay. I was thinking to myself, L'maiser and Elo, Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. When we reach out to Hashem reaches back out to us. We start to them at Aseres Yimei Teshuva. Right? Dirshu Hashem b'himatzoi. That we call out to Hashem when he's b'himatzoi, when he's close to us. The Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says, it's the Aseres Yimei Teshuva. It's the time that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is coming close to us. So imagine if the king comes down, he's coming close to his nation, to Klal Yisrael, and when he comes, we show like an apathy, a disinterest, can I have money? It could be asking for Parnasa is a big deal. But in the mashal, with Shuzev, Hashem is coming, the Father's coming, you just ask for a small thing. It's almost chutzpahdik. In this case, it was in the Shuzev, but it's almost chutzpahdik. It's a time of a Kadosh Baruch Hu being close to us, and we're not taking advantage of it. That in of itself is something to do tshuva for us. We have to make sure that as we're getting into Chaf Elul, Mamish 2/3 into the Chodesh, make sure that we're taking our avodah seriously. And as I said, whoever's coming here obviously takes it seriously. There's a lot of other things we could be doing now. Just to make sure that we prepare ourselves, we recognize that last year, this time, had we known on Chaf Elul, Tavshin Pei Gimel, what was waiting for us, Nebuch, on Chav Beis Tishrei, Tavshin Pei Dalid, is our Elul would have been totally different. Our Rosh Hashanah davening would have been totally different. Our Yom Kippur would have been totally different. Lamaisa, we don't know What's waiting for us in Tavshin Pei? Hey, we don't know. Bez Hashem will be only Simcha and Bracha and Brias. We'll have the Geula. But L'maisa, we don't know. We don't know what's lurking behind the corner. Now is the time. We decide to a large extent, we're Kaveya now, in these days, Ubefrat, Rosh Hashanah, Aseres Meitshuva, Yom Kippur. Now is our Ishtadlus. Our time is now to be Kaveya the future, to be Kaveya Tavshin Pei. It's a very serious avodah, but it's not like a depressing, anxiety-ridden reaction to this. It's exhilarating. I recommend very strongly that anyone listen to Rabbi Glad from last week. Amazing, mamash amazing. On this Nakuda, we have an opportunity to work on ourselves, to do the right thing, and change the course of history, change the future. That's just to get into the proper perspective, the opportunity that we have. It's a chaval to miss out on that opportunity. It's a chaval. It's a daunting task to come and try to dissect Tavshin Pei Daled, and that's our avodah, is to go and to think about what happened throughout the year and to figure out what message HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending us, and then try to figure out what we should do, how we should fix ourselves, work on ourselves. Two things, two nakudas, two observations from Tavshin Pei Daled I want to share with the Olam, and then one small little eitzah of how to help ourselves, maybe focus us a little direction in the Teshuva process. One thought I already had this many months ago, that we've just read this past week's Parsha, the Teicha, Parsha Kisavoy. The first, I'll call it disease, so to speak, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends to Klal Yisrael during the Teichacha. The pasuk says, Yishlach Hashem, Yishalach Hashem b'cha, es ha-me'era. Me'era means chisaron, lacking. We're going to feel a lacking. Es ha-mahuma, confusion. Ves ha-migeres, turmoil. This is the first thing before the kadachas and all the heat and the fever, before any of the physical maladies that the Teichacha has for us, is a psychological malady, is the fear, the confusion, the turmoil, what's going on, what's happening. Baruch Hashem, many of us grew up in quite cushy existences, upbringing. Some people had challenges, others didn't have as many challenges, and we're used to things going very smoothly. The Geshmak in 1990s, what happened in the 1990s? Well, Saddam Hussein, okay, it came and it went, in a few months it wasn't a big deal, it was Geshmak. The 2000s were very easy, and all of a sudden we're hit with COVID a few years ago, and now with this, what's going on in the world now. It's very disorienting, it's very unsettling. Was Gate Zion in November, what's going to happen? It's very unsettling what the possibilities are. It's a time that if we're not grounded, we can lose our minds to an extent. We can become paralyzed with fear. I've seen this, we've seen this with COVID, and we've seen this with October 7th as well. People just become ice bench, as they say, and there are things happening that there's a reason to be nervous. How do we combat that? What's the Torah approach to that? When there's upheaval in my life, when I feel insecure, I don't feel safe, what's the mahalach? This emphasizes, this highlights the importance of bitachon, of realizing that no matter what's happening around us in the world, there's one entity that's controlling everything, that's orchestrating everything. This entity, no one else can do anything without this entity. And this entity knows exactly what's good for me, for you, for our families, for Klal Yisrael, for the world. And he's running the show. It's the Kadosh Baruch Hu. To mechazik and bitachon, to realize that what happens is all for the good, it's all for the best. The Chavos Levavos says, when a person, the Baal Bitachon is someone who has one constant in life. The professionals can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but the depression, anxiety comes when there are ups and downs, things change. I feel I'm out of control. I want something to happen. I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Oy vey, I become paralyzed with fear. With bitachon, a person realizes there's only one constant in life. There's only one thing that's constant. Kadosh Baruch Hu is there. And this is my perfect family. This is my perfect spouse. This is my perfect community. This is my perfect job. Whatever I have, even though I think differently, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling me what I have, what's going on in the world now, is perfect for us to grow. That's the yesod of bitachon. Bitachon leads, says the Chovos Levavos, to simcha. When the Chovos Levavos is speaking out the advantages of bitachon is good for Olam Hazeh. Chutz from Olam Haba, it's good for us in this world. Umehen, he says, from the advantages of bitachon is simchasoi b'chol inyan. A person is always happy. He's always besimcha. Even if something happens against his nature, he's always happy because he knows he's holding on to his father's hand, and his father's taking him to the best doctors, his father's taking him to the best places. He knows he's safe. This morning, someone told me a Maisa. You heard it from the Rabbi himself. There was a Rabbi whose son was having challenges in Yiddishkeit, needed a chizuk. So they were going to Eretz Yisrael. What better place to get a chizuk? The Koisel. They're going to the Koisel, and the father was talking to his son about the importance of davening and connecting to Hashem, the Koisel, the Makom HaMikdash. They go to the Koisel, and the father's davening, but really, out of the corner of his eye, he's looking over the son to see if the son is davening. And the son is like a very quick tefillah. He's very disappointed in the father. The son davens for like a minute and a half. The ganze mishpach, his mom is shuckling away and asking for this, asking for that, and the koisel. And this kid just like davens for 2 minutes and starts walking away. The father was so disappointed that he was mamish banking on the fact that the kedusha of the makom, the whole atmosphere is going to bring this kid up to a level he'll realize it. He couldn't help but go after his son and say, Yankel, what happened? Mamish, we haven't been to the Koisel in years and years, never here. You can ask Hashem for anything. Hashem is going to listen to anything you want. And, you just walk away. So the kid said amazing. The kid said to him that I don't understand what everyone's davening for. I don't understand the arichas in the tefillah, the length of the tefillah. I asked for one thing, says this kid, this teenager. I asked for one thing, and this one thing is koilel everything. I got everything in this one thing. I asked for simcha. So I asked, I should be happy. Happy, meitnished, happy, like I'm smiling and I'm laughing. Menuchas hanefesh is what he meant. Simchas hachayim. I asked, I should be content. I should be happy with my life, with my family, with my parnasa, with my health, with my community, with everything. I should be happy. I should be content. Menuchas hanefesh, simchas hachayim. That is what bitachon offers. If a person does not focus on bitachon, ubefrat in these times, you can literally go mishuga. A person can go crazy. The injustice, the perceived injustice, what goes on, the suffering that goes on, a person can go crazy. But if we're mechazik, if we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is guiding us every step of the way, and everything that happens is for our best, it's a different ballgame. So practically, picking up these times, forget Elul and Tishrei, even Cheshvan and Kislev. Chayvus Levav Shar HaBitachon, I've mentioned in the past, it's a life-changing sefer. They have article has in English, of course, Rabbi Victor Miller, they put out from his teachings, and he weaves in a lot of stories and very entertaining thoughts and very meaningful thoughts. There are easy ways. You can do 5 minutes a day. The yesod of bitachon, of any limud really, is not covering the subject matter and becoming a baki in it, which also is important, but it's on your mind. If a person spends 5 minutes a day just focusing on bitachon, that in and of itself can have a profound impact on his life, on his daily life. Another sefer highly recommended, orchestration. Orchestration goes through all the midas. It misses out one midah. It misses out bitachon. It doesn't have bitachon, but it has simcha. In the shar has simcha, he speaks about bitachon, because bitachon brings the simcha. There's no separate midah according to the orchestration. There's no separate midah of bitachon. It's a sniff of simcha. And essentially, that's all we want. All we want out of life is to be happy, to have menuchas hanefesh, to be content. That's all we want. If we have that, we have everything. If a person has pizur hanefesh, if he's all over the place and worried about my kids or my parnasa, then he can have all the money in the world. He has nothing. All we want is menuchas hanefesh. That can only come in this world now more than ever. We can fool ourselves in the 1990s. We can fool ourselves into thinking we have menuchas hanefesh. But now, in the shver tzeit, in the difficult times we're in, the only way is with bitachon. It's not a big investment. A few minutes a day. Shar bitachon chavos levavis, orchos tzadikim shar hasimcha. It's the first nakuda. It also helps a person not get bogged down by all the details, like all the things that are happening, and this thing happened, and that page blew up, and this thing happened, and everything gets very busy and into all the different things that are going on, and a person loses sight of really what's going on, and really who's controlling things. That's number one. Number two, another observation I think we all had is that in Tavshin Pei Dalet, Hashem kind of forced us to think more about our fellow Jew. The Matzav in Eretz Yisrael, what's going on over here in this country as well. It's kind of, when there's calamity, unfortunately, it brings us together, and we start thinking outside our Dalet Amos. There's a pasuk in this week's parsha in Tzavim. The pasuk says, "Im yiyeh nidach acha b'ktzei hashamayim, if you're dispersed ones, they're in the Ksei HaShemayim, Mamish in the end of the sky. Misham yikabetzcha, there Hashem will gather you, Hashem lokecha. Misham yikachecha, and there Hashem will take you. It's a double lashon. Misham yikabetzcha, Hashem will gather you in from there, bring you back to Eretz Yisrael. Misham yikachecha, there Hashem will take you. So as the Zera Shimshon, it's a double lashon. What's Misham yikabetzcha? Misham yikachecha. Why do we have both lashonis? So he quotes an idea, he quotes the psukim from Moshe, but it's really a Medrash Rabbi as well, the idea in Parshas Nasai. The Medrash says that Rabbi Lazar, Benoish Rabbi Lazar HaKfar, so the following din, the following idea. Sha'afilu Yisrael oivdin avodas kechavim, if the Yidden are worshipping avodah zarah, v'shalom b'neihem, but they're at shalom with each other, kivyachol amar kadosh baruch hu, ein ha-satan hagei b'neihem. The Satan has no shlita, no control over them. Quotes the pasuk in Hosea, Chavur atzad Ephraim. Ephraim, which refers to Klal Yisrael, is connected to avodah zarah. They're mamish samud to avodah zarah. Hanach loy, leave them alone. They're doing avodah zarah, but they're at shalom with each other. Leave them alone. When there's machlokes, what does it say? Chalak libam, their hearts are divided. Ata yesham, now they're going to be found guilty. Hagadol shalom is snua machlokes. Shalom is great. Machlokes is snua. Says the Zera Shimshon, the first step in the Geula is Misham Yikabetzcha. Hashem gathers everybody together figuratively. That everyone is at Shalom. Then Misham Yikachecha, then you can be taken to the Geula. But if everyone is all over the place, first Hashem has to bring us to one place together, and then He brings us home to Eretz Yisrael. This is a true Nakuda, which is Lanius Daiti, very much misrepresented by many, many people. People think that means let's have one shul in Hollywood. One shul, everyone has to be together, right? When there's shalom, so everyone's together. Let's have one shul in Hollywood. It'd be a horrible idea. Horrible idea. Why? It's not shalom. Because different people have different types of davenings they want. It'll be a travesty of halacha to take Sfardim and Ashkenazim and put them in one shul. Which nusach do you daven? You want to say slichus starting Rosh Chodesh Elul? Right? It's a good idea until you think about that. Every sect in Klal Yisrael has their minhagim, which should be cherished, and they should keep to them. So we shouldn't have one big shul. Remember, separate but equal in secular world is inherently unequal. But in Yiddishkeit, each shevet lived by themselves. Achdus does not mean everybody comes together and hangs out. We have one big Avos Subanim, one big Hakavos Simple Start. That's not Achdus. Each sect of Klal Yisrael have their own minhagim, their own Hakavos. They should stay with to an extent, in their circles. Achdus means we appreciate everyone. The harder Achdus is in my Daled Amos. The harder Shalom. It's very easy to be Shalom once a year. We get together and do something together. We show Hashem is so happy. It's much harder with the people in my family. It's much harder with the people in my shul. It's much harder with the people in my office to be B'Shalom. That's where the real Shalom comes in. If to start with our Daled Amos, people make a mistake. They think like the big things are very, very chashuv. And sometimes they are, but it's the daily life. They say, dying al Kiddush Hashem is very, very chashuv, but living al Kiddush Hashem is much harder to an extent. So we have the class examples of, I had the Shabbos morning actually. Hopefully no one saw it. But sometimes a person's child does something they don't want them to do. Right? It happens sometimes. So the kid's doing the wrong thing, he's doing the wrong thing, and as a parent, the parent's a mechiach, the parent has to get his kid under control. So, but there's also, it bothers me just that the kid's doing it. Forget my child, it bothers me that he's doing it. So a person can be mechiach his child, can critique his child in a way that the thing stops. I mean, my goal is, my kid is doing whatever, he's making noise during the drasha, whatever it might be, right? And get him to stop. That's my goal, just get him to stop. Because I have things I have to do. I have my achrayusim. I have what I have to do. And this is getting in my way. Stop. Or my goal can be to help this other yid, could be my child, to help this other yid, and also the hafra, the thing that's bothering me, should go away. Those are two totally different goals. One goal is, I have to get my way, this is bad and wrong, end it. The other goal is, be a mensch, think about that kid, and how he's going to feel if he's rebuked publicly or if I get upset at him in front of people, and also get my way. It's a totally different message. And a person gets a little bit bigger, like we discussed in Shalosh Shodas yesterday. When you take someone else into the equation, it happens with the husband and wife as well. a person wants a clean house. You want a clean house. So if that's my goal, I want a clean house. There's one way to get it. You go and you're going like a bull in a china shop. Or is my goal to be happily married and have a clean house? It's a totally different, treat a person with respect, and a totally different goal. Often, we're all very busy. We all have a lot of achrayas. Things bother us. They get in the way. We discussed this morning at the Tefillah Shir. That's part of being human. Hashem set it up that way, that things should bother us. It's not, the goal isn't to get rid of it and go weiter. But I often, as I've been thinking about the past few weeks, I often have to, I have achrayas. I have to get things done. I don't have a lot of time. I have to get it done. Something's getting in my way. I have to push it to the side. That's wrong. Is an nisayin, how do I treat that person? We don't chapetz an nisayin. But our goals can be totally off. We're focusing on ourselves, has to be totally different. Ma'aser Shahaya in the shul, one of my favorite topics, Mishulachim. There was a Ma'aser where, a few weeks ago, the Olim sat down to learn, and then Mishulach walks in, the shir starts at 8 o'clock, let's say hypothetically, 8 o'clock, and Mishulach walks in. So what do? He walks in, his daughter, wherever country he's from, and never. These guys start the shir. It's Bittul Torah. So I yelled out, "Staka tatzil mimaves." Staka saves a person from death. The Gross says there's nothing that works better in the world than staka. The most powerful tool we have, says the Goin in Mishlei, is staka. On that pasuk, I said, "Useshuva, usefila, utstaka ma'avirnes roya gzeira." Meshulach walks in. You're about to start a shir. He's asking for money. What's the goal? As the goal is to learn Torah, or is the goal to be a mensch and learn Torah? Two totally separate goals. Okay, so you take your credit card, give him a little money, and then hopefully he goes. And that's he darshan sometimes. Hopefully, But it's just, I find that, I think we all know that we're living in a much more self-centered society than we grew up in, that our parents lived in. That if you look at our parents, how they treated their parents, it's just totally much more selfless the way we treat our parents, and it goes weiter. The Yeridas Adoros goes weiter to the next generation. We have to make ourselves bigger. We have to incorporate others in our goals, in our desires in life. We're trying to get to, we're aiming for. We have to make sure that part of that goal is to be a mensch. When you're inviting company for Shabbos, is it the same chevra all the time? Have you reached everybody in the kehillah, everyone you see walking around outside? Or is it the same social circle the entire time? We have to make ourselves bigger. What's the point of company on Shabbos? Another one of my favorite topics. What's the point? So the kids play and don't bother me, and I schmooze with my friends? It's horrible. Missing out on a gewaltige opportunity for chinuch with the kids, to teach children what the point of company is. These are opportunities we have. We have to make ourselves bigger. We have to, I know life is difficult, and I know we're all stressed out. But think about the Kloisenberg if you feel stressed out. We're not so stressed out. And we have to make things bigger for ourselves. In Tavshin Pei Dalet, Hashem made us think about other people. It doesn't mean sending packages to Eretz Yisrael. It's so superficial. It's so easy. It's so cheap and super. Do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. It's much harder to invite that family you don't want to invite. It's much harder. But that's much more meaningful. Much more meaningful. To think deeper. The third nakuda, with this one, is one thing I was going through Shari Teshuva. And he gives an eitzah, and I used this eitzah last week, and it's amazing how it worked. And it's very easy, actually. We look for easy things to do. That's the goal. It's part of it. So in the beginning, before he gets into the Ikrei Teshuva, he writes, V'chein roi, says the Shari Teshuva, it's kedai, l'chol baalei teshuva. Any baal teshuva, we should all be, lichtov megillah sefer advarim, write down on a piece of paper I have here. I've written mamish in chicken scratch, so if anyone finds it, they can't understand it. But I wrote here 3 things I did that I shouldn't have done. Megillah Sefer, you want? Dvarim asher nichshlu behen, v'ha-mitzvahs asher kitzu b'kiyuman. Things I was nichshel in, and mitzvahs that I could have done better. V'likroi b'sefer zichronoisim b'chol yom. Read it every day. So I wrote down, the first thing I wrote down, it was something with the mouth. We do a lot with our mouths. A lot of good and a lot of not so good. I did something with my mouth I shouldn't have done. So I wrote that down, right? So then I saw something that you get to see this once, if you're lucky, once in your life. A geshmaka lashon hara matzav. Like once in your life, you see such a good thing happen that it's such a hana to say it over to people. and we had a geschmack time at the Masech Chabura, and at the Mishnah Berurah, and I go home at night. It would have been so geschmack to just discuss this piece of Lashon Hara. But I remember that morning, I just wrote down on my little piece, this piece, I didn't do any tshuva. I didn't do charat, I didn't do vidoy, I guess it was vidoy. I didn't cry, there was no daiga, there was no yogaing, kabbalah, I was gornish. I didn't do anything. All I did was with my blue pen, my little chicken scratch, I wrote this inyan of the Lashon. And then I thought to myself, I can't now. Hashem Mamish sent to me like that. Hours later, I can't say it. The maila of just making a cheshbon, like we said in the beginning, tshuva is a very daunting task. Like, where do I begin? Where do I end? Well, in the middle, you pick one thing. Pick one thing. The Lashon is very hard. You pick one thing, and you write it down. So I was nishal today. I said this about this person. I said this about that institution. I said whatever it was. You write it down. I guess if you're on WhatsApp chats, it's probably a very long list. At least if hearing Lashon Hara, it's a separate discussion. But let's talk about it in person, Lashon Hara first. Start with there. You write it down. You're gonna whatever you write down, coming late to davening, not davening properly, not treating my wife with respect, whatever it is, you write it down. That in of itself has a profound impact on a person. So these are the three ha'aras I wanted to share with the Olam as we go through this avodah of El. Bitachon is essential to mechazik and bitachon to pick up a sefer, just read in English a few lines a day. It'll help us weather the storm that we're in much better and get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In our daily goals in life, recognize the nisyonis that happen. We all have things to do. We have our tunnel vision. We're trying to do something. People get in our way. And I tend to push them out of the way, make ourselves bigger, include the people in our goals, treat them like mention more, think about the other person. And this last idea, very practical, small nukud in tshuva, just to write down a few nukudas, pick one inyan to work on, and with that we'll all be zocheh to a Shana Tova B'Sukkah.